Welcome to Besties, Books, and Brews,
where we're not afraid to indulge in some steamy stories.
So whether you are naughty or nice or somewhere in between,
grab a glass of your favorite brew and settle in with your favorite besties.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Besties, Books, and Brews. How are you ladies doing today?
doing great.
Hey. Great, yeah.
So today we are doing, as I always say, it's always something a little different with us. We're trying to do different things to, get different demographics and viewers. So we're kind of doing like a bite-sized Besties review, but with all of us. We all read a different book, and today we're each going to be doing a review summary, and then all the other girls, based on our summary, are going to basically say if they would read it or not.
Yep,
That's
exactly.
pretty much the gist of it, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
So before we get into the brews, if you guys are enjoying our content, please give us a follow, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and like this video so we can continue giving you the Besties, Books, and Brews love.
Please and thank you.
All right, so now the part where everyone, is basically hydration station at this point for me. But what's everyone drinking this week?
I have alcohol and hydration.
Okay, drink for me.
What's your alcohol, though?
I just spilled it on myself. I haven't even started drinking.
The alcohol
it yet,
was like, you did not introduce me. What am I?
What's the drink I've been drinking? White Claw. This is my last one. This fucking bitch is out of my house after this. I'm finally gonna get something new.
Finally, I'm telling you, the Mike's Hard seltzer.
Mm-hmm.
I think you'd love it.
Okay.
So I am drinking a diet lemonade, one of those Crystal Light thingamajiggies. Yeah, because can't have alcohol for a while.
yeah, I'm drinking water as usual.
Our hydration station lady.
And I'm hydration station 2 today with my Harry
Ooh,
Potter.
I love that. Did Alyssa make that one too?
I did not.
No, but this is off Etsy. I got it as a Christmas gift.
That is so cute.
Yeah.
All right. So let's get into the reviews. So I read Your Daddy Does It Better by Mila Crawford. Now, this book, it was a very dark romance erotica book. So I gave it 3 stars as far as the book goes. For spice, I gave it 5 out of 5. It was very spicy. It had a lot of trigger warnings. I mean, everything pretty much like under the sun was supposed to be in this book, but we'll get into that. All right. So basically the story is about Isla, and Isla has been abused her whole life. From a child into her adulthood, she was dating Paul, who is like this narcissist. Yeah, well, yeah. He deserves this. He was this sadistic narcissist who just basically beat the shit out of her constantly. Like anything that she did, she was getting beat up. And she basically just stood around. I mean, from when the book started, he was just beating on her. One day they decide that they're going to Paul's father's house, Bryce, daddy all the way. So when they get there, they're doing the introductions. Basically, Bryce, he came from also a background of being abused. He saw his mom being abused, and he was, in essence, sexually abused by Paul's mom. He was 15, she was 32. She basically took advantage of him. So Paul comes to the house with Isla. Isla's this beautiful, thick goddess who basically was treated like shit. Paul ends up hitting her. Bryce beats the shit out of his son, kicks him out. And he basically is like, Isla, you can stay here. You can trust me. It'll be fine. But because she's been abused so much, she was like, no, there's no way. I just dealt with your fucking sick son, and now I have to stay here with you. Absolutely not. But she kind of knew that Bryce wasn't going to do anything to her. So she kind of like started speaking out and lashing out in a way. And he was just like, I don't care. I'm not going to put my hands on you. So basically, Bryce is this deviant sex god, which I need. He's 6'7", 300 pounds. Isla is like 210 pounds, and he just flings her like she is nothing. He basically takes her in every possible way, but Isla as well basically takes Bryce in many ways. So pretty much at the end of the story, they ended up being together. I don't know if I'm supposed to say that as a summary. The book really had no plot. It was very short. The smut was amazing. As far as spoilers, he kills his son. He killed his son's mother. He killed his father. Yeah, he was also a gangster. So that's where, Paul got it from. He killed everybody that basically wronged him in his life. And he had a whole bunch of demons. He fucked her when she was sleeping. Like, he legit gave her sleeping pills and fucked her while she was sleeping, and it was fucking hot. He fucked her up against a tree. I mean, and she pegged him. And when I tell you that she was a madam mistress, it was fucking amazing. It was amazing. He gave her complete fucking control. So yeah, that was that book.
Sounds like a lot happened in a
little
pages.
So as far as like there was a lot of violence within the book. But as far as like their backgrounds, like you learn a little bit about Isla's background, how she was growing up and her father used to abuse her, her brother, and her little sister. Her little sister was sexually abused by the father. It's not mentioned, in detail, but it's mentioned in the book. Her father killed her brother. It was just a bunch of violence in this book. But as far as the smut, it was mommy daddy kink. There was cum play. There was, what else was there? Degradation. It was amazing. It was amazing. So yeah, that's why I gave it a 3. I just felt like there wasn't enough background on either her and Bryce to like fulfill the book. But smut wise, I'm for it.
All right. Okay. So what do we all think? Would we read it?
I know Sara wouldn't. That's not Sarah's cup of tea at all.
No.
I'm on the fence. I fucking love dark romance, and I love a daddy. Like, I love when a girl starts with a guy and then like ends up with her dad.
But I can tell you a lot of his a lot of the quotes that are highlighted from, he's like this sweet, so she calls him pup when she fucks him. She's like, oh, you've been a bad pup, you want mommy to fuck you up your ass. But like his quotes in the book are so sweet. It's like, how can you be this deviant sex god, this criminal, this like murderous creature, but yet you're saying these beautiful words? Like it was, I'd recommend it. It's a short read too. It was like 142 pages.
Oh, so wow,
you finished in like 1 hour.
Whatever, Alyssa. It was maybe it was an hour. Maybe it was an hour and a half. But yeah, it was a quick read.
Lori, would you read it?
I'm kind of on the fence. I think my curiosity would kind of get the better of me, and I'm just like, wait, I gotta see what this is about.
Yeah,
I think you'd like it, Alyssa. I think it's your and Lori's type of smut.
Okay, I'll add it to my never-ending TBR.
Lori will finish it in like 2 seconds.
What I love about this episode is we all, from what I can tell, because I think we all have like different genres, like very, very different books that we're reviewing. I'm doing Caraval by Stephanie Garber, which is like the complete and total opposite of the book you just reviewed, like 100%. This is very much YA, which you guys know for me, I don't tend to like YA, but I can't read it, but I can listen to it. And I listened to this book on Libby. I had bought it a little while ago, and you guys know I'm in an effort right now to read all my physical books, and if they're on Libby as audio, I'm doing that. So needless to say, I really liked the book on audio. I don't know about reading it because I didn't do that, but the narrator was really, really good. So the reason why I'm reviewing this book, I was actually between this one and another one, is I listened to this 2 books ago and it is still in my brain. Like, it had one of the most unique and interesting stories I have ever read. So I'm going to try to sum this up the best I can, but like, this is one of those books that you're going to have to read to get it. It is about 2 sisters, Donatella and Scarlet, and they live on this island that's been like conquered, and their father is also abusive. Their mother left them when they were very, very young. I want to say it was like 7 years prior to when the story takes place. And ever since the mom left, that's when the dad has been really terrible to them. So they have this, in like this world that they live, it's called Caraval. It is like a show / game that happens once a year, and you can only go to it if you have been invited to it. So their grandmother has told them about Caraval like since they were younger, and they've been dying to go to it. Scarlet, the story starts out where Scarlet is writing to the like showrunner of Caraval. His name is Legend, asking him if they'll come to their isle. They live on Trisda, asking him to come there, and her letters go unanswered until the last one that she writes, telling him that she is engaged and she's going to be married. And then he writes back with 2 tickets for her and her sister and her soon-to-be husband. So the story starts where Scarlet, by the way, the story centers around Scarlet, goes and tells Donatella that she got 2 tickets, and Tella is all about it. She wants to leave, she wants to go, but Scarlet's freaking out because she has this marriage coming up and she doesn't want to do anything to jeopardize it. So Tella basically has this like sailor boy that she met help drug Scarlet, and it is YA, but there were some things that it was a little sketch. They drug her, get her on this boat to get her to the island where this game is taking place. So anyway, she originally says she's only going to stay for 1 night because she needs to get back in order to go marry this guy that, by the way, she has never met before. She's only spoken to him in letters. So the whole book mainly is them in this game. When they start the game, they are told that it is only a game, that nothing is real. However, when they're going through this game, it is very hard to remember that it is just a game, and the lines start to get blurred. Scarlet starts feeling like certain things she's seeing are real. There is a love interest. The only thing that happens in this book is kissing. But again, it's a really cute story and a really interesting story. There is a really like fantastical aspect to it. In the game, there is magic involved. So things that are happening are not just like, I don't know, if you're like going to play a game at the park with your friend, right? Like things happen that are completely out of the norm. And she has to complete these, I think it's 5 tasks in order to save her sister. So the whole game is her sister was kidnapped in the beginning. She's got to complete these 5 tasks to save her sister. So it was a really, really fun, really cool read. The second book, also, they're back in Caraval again. And then the third book is like kind of after the fact. I'm actually listening to the third book right now. So clearly I am still liking it. Yeah. I gave it 4 stars. The only reason I didn't give it 5 stars is the main character just kind of started getting on my nerves a little bit. And there was no spice. So I'm just going to give it 0 on that. But I thought it was a really good book.
It sounds pretty interesting.
What do you guys think? Would you read it?
I would read it.
I would totally read it. It's right up my alley. It's actually on my to read list, so.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, it sounds pretty interesting.
Yeah, if you guys read it, let me know what you think because I would actually really love to discuss it with somebody else. If you listen to the audio, really cool. They interviewed Stephanie Garber, the author, at the end. I think it was like the last 15 minutes of the audiobook, kind of asking her like where she came up with some of the ideas for certain things within the book. So it was really interesting to hear that.
Yeah, I'll add it to my TBR.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll let you know in like 20 years when I actually get through all my books.
Right. All the 2,568 of them that are there.
Yeah.
I will say, like, I know we've talked about the audiobook thing and I got you guys to listen to the Tom Felton one, but like if you do get more into audiobooks at any point, I do think that they help to like get through some of the books you may have on your TBR, because you can like listen to a book and read one. That's how, if I didn't listen to audiobooks, the number of books I read in a year would be like half.
Right.
Fair enough. So my book is a little different in that it's not a recent book, but it made such an impact on me that I remember everything about the book. So I read it when I was 14. My mom was the one who was like, "You should read the whole series." She bought it for me, and I don't think she realized or remembered what was actually in the book. So I'm talking about Flowers in the Attic.
Oh,
and
that
like
was a good book.
that whole series. So Flowers in the Attic is about these 4 kids. It's essentially the story is told by the second child. Her name is Kathy, right? Kathy? No, Corinne. Her
Corinne.
name is Corinne. No, Kathy. I was right.
I don't
Sorry.
fucking know.
Her name is Kathy. I always get. So her name is Kathy. Her older brother is Chris, and they're only like 2 years apart. And then she has 2 twin younger siblings, Corey and Carrie. And basically what happens is the book starts out with the mother telling them that they need to go live with their grandmother, like all of them, because their father just passed away, and that the grandmother lives in this huge mansion and they're really rich. And, but they have to keep it a secret until the father, like the mother's father, passes away because he didn't approve of who she married. So you find out in the book, they kind of say, oh, well, she married her half uncle, which doesn't seem as horrible. So the grandmother takes the kids and she's like, I'm going to put you in the attic. She made up the attic to look like a bedroom. And then there's like stairs in the attic to lead to like a second part of the attic where they could like play and nobody in the house can hear. And she's like, you have to stay in this attic. No one can know you exist. Do not get out. I will bring you whatever food you want. And if you want books or whatever.
Sounds like Harry Potter.
Something like that, but a lot worse.
Yeah.
So basically,
they even made a movie out of it.
Yeah, but the movie was not good.
I was gonna ask if there, because it sounded like a show or movie or something I heard.
Yeah, okay, the movie is nowhere near as good as the book, though.
No, yeah. So these kids are in the attic, right? And they're over here thinking, oh, they're going to be out by the end of the month, right? Because the mother keeps telling them it's only a little bit longer. He's dying. I just have to gain his trust and then I'll be in the will and then you can come down. And a few weeks turns into a few months. And then a few months turns into a couple of years that they're in this attic. Now, this is where it gets a little sketchy. And I think this is why my mom forgot.
Yeah.
So because they're teenagers, the 2 older siblings are teenagers, and the brother is like 15 and the sister is like 13 or whatever, the brother starts, his hormones start going crazy and he starts looking at his sister in a different light, and they actually end up having sex. Yep. She didn't want it, but he was like totally in love with her.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and it was just because they're literally the only ones. So
they haven't been around anyone, right?
Yeah, this is the only woman that I'm seeing or whatever. So as the days go by, one of the twins starts feeling really sick, and they keep telling the mother, who her visits start kind of
diminishing,
getting fewer and far between. And they keep telling the mother, he needs to see a doctor. He needs to see a doctor. So the mother takes the boy, and then she ends up coming back and saying, well, he died. And they're like, what do you mean he died? He was fine. And they didn't understand it. Like, she's like, oh, well, he was just really sick. So more days go by, and then the other little sister, the twin, starts getting sick as well. And then at some point, the two older ones were like, we need to save ourselves. No one's going to save us. So they sneak out, only to find out that their grandfather is not sick. He's not dying. The mother was lying the whole time. She was dating this other rich guy, but she didn't tell him anything about her having kids. And the grandmother was putting arsenic in their food, which is why the kids were getting sick.
Oh my God.
So, so the two older siblings decided we need to escape. And they found a way like to go out the window, onto the roof with the other little kid tied behind on them. And then that's how they ended up essentially escaping. Now, the books after discuss how they acclimated to like regular life, what happened. And it turns out that the older sister, well, Kathy, she ended up, essentially seducing an older man who took them in to care for them. Like she seduced, and I'm talking about like, this is like her grandfather age type older man. And then she ended up like marrying this really abusive, her ballet partner, because she was really big into ballet. And all throughout this, her twin brother is like, we're supposed to be together. This is why it's not working out with anybody. I'm still in love with you. And it was just like a whole
clusterfuck.
Yeah, like V.C. Andrews, who's the author, I don't know, she just loves her, ancestral relationships, because the last book of the series goes back to, it's more like a prequel, and it goes back to why the grandmother was the way she was. And then you find out that Corinne, who was the mother of the kids, it wasn't her half uncle that she married or that she had kids with. It was actually her brother, but nobody actually told her. So basically what happened is the grandfather was jealous because his father had this gorgeous, beautiful young wife. So he kills the father, impregnates his stepmom, and then she gives birth to a baby that the grandmother essentially keeps as her own and says, yes, this is my child. It was just like a bunch of
shitstorm.
There's so much happening in this book. Like, I am so intrigued, but
I kept watching your face as everything that she was saying unfolded. I'm just like, yeah.
When she said the first kid got sick, my immediate thought went to arsenic, because I'm like, they're in an attic. How else are they getting sick? They're not really being like exposed to anything else. I'm like, okay, this sounds that was my first thought. But still, like, so I am very intrigued. The story sounds so interesting, but the incest stuff is what puts me off. Like, if it was like a stepbrother, stepsister, that's one thing. Like, I don't mind a little taboo, but
blood siblings is
oh God.
Yeah.
And that was another thing. It was, so the kids found out that the grandfather actually knew they existed, and that the only way the mother would be put back into the will was if she killed the kids, which is how the grandmother started poisoning the kids.
Them.
In the actual hell. So what? Okay, tell me, because now I gotta know, because I'm probably not ever gonna pick up this book, but I'm like invested in the story. So like you're saying the grandpa knew the whole time from like the point when they were moved into the attic. So what the fuck was the point of them being put in the attic in the first place?
To kill them.
The mom could go
to kill them.
Oh, the plan was to kill them all along.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So why were they there for a few years before the grandma started putting arsenic in their food?
To make it seem like they had a chance, or I have no idea. That this family is like really sick.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. Like, Okay, do you guys ever, when you're reading stuff like this, do you ever like think like, what the hell goes on in this author's mind?
All the time.
Absolutely. Yeah.
All the
Mind
time.
you, I was 14 when I read this whole
You're
series.
And you have
So
a
was
brother.
I.
Like,
Yeah.
And I told
Right,
my mom,
yes.
I told my mom, I was like, Ma, do you realize what you told me to read? And then I explained the story. She's like, oh yeah, I forgot about the incest. I'm like, how do you forget?
Yeah.
The incest, the killing. I imagine you like doe-eyed going up to your mom, you're like, Mom, what's this?
So, but the story was just so intriguing.
It was.
And it just pulls you in. And thankfully the sex scenes aren't
As
like
what they
what
are
we
today.
read.
Right.
Yeah, they aren't what they are like today. But it was enough to be like, ew.
Like back in that day, it was a lot. Like today
Yeah.
it's nothing, but back then it was like, oh, what? And then her brother? What?
I mean, I'm sure still at 14 at this age, you're still like, what?
Oh no,
Yeah.
You know?
absolutely not. Not today's
Yeah,
age.
it was quite
These
the
kids know
eye-opener.
more than we do.
Yeah, true. The 14-year-olds now might just be like, oh, well, this is just
Yeah.
a regular
Right.
Tuesday.
True.
Basically.
But then it's funny because it's a series that you do find in the YA section.
Yep.
And I'm just like, are people reading this book? Like, what just because they're
It's-
teenagers doesn't mean that it goes in
Yeah,
the
it's a
YA.
YA
That
book.
does not belong in YA, especially if there's like a lot of like murder talked about. That doesn't sound very YA to me.
Look, in all of the books, I think there's about 5 in the series. I think there was even more after the fact, but there were 5 in the main series. In all of that, you have incest, you have murder, you have rape, you have, abuse. Like, it's just so much
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that should not be in YA.
at all. But I do give the books, like, as a whole, I give it like 4 stars. I don't want to rate the spice rating because it's not the kind of spice that I want.
Yeah.
Right. Fair enough.
but I will say the spice was just slightly more detailed than what was that book that we read?
Accidental
Yeah,
attachment.
Yes.
that one that we keep bringing up. That one. Mhm.
Exactly. So,
Yeah.
would you guys read it?
Well, I've read
Yeah.
it, so yeah.
I would.
I'm
would.
intrigued, but like I would
Yeah.
want to know what
The
pages
incest is
the
throwing her
incest
off.
happened on, so I can just like skip
Skip
over
it.
that.
It's
All
so
right,
funny.
well, that was a good one. I'm intrigued.
It's a good story, and
It
it
is a
really
good
does
story.
like it really.
Yeah, I
does,
love like the mystery, like the storytelling.
It was
Yeah.
just like it was
yeah.
so like
You gotta know what happens.
when you're
Yeah.
reading it, you kind of feel bad for the kids because to them, their mom is coming back to get them, so they're like, "Oh,
Mhm.
she's coming," and then it's like slowly they start to like realize like what's going on, like why isn't
Mhm.
she coming to get us? And now like, oh, we're getting sick, and this one died, and yeah,
Oh, by the way, at one point the other twin does die too
Yeah.
in one of the other books because she gets sick. Yeah.
All right, I'm just gonna stick with your summary. I feel like you did a wonderful job summarizing
Yeah.
this. I don't
You
need
did.
to read it. I love your summary. Thank you so much. I'm good.
So mine is completely different
Okay.
from all of yours, and it's going to be a very, very quick
Sarah
review.
has the sunshine of the group.
Yeah. So I'm reviewing The Match by Sarah Adams. And so after we all read Fourth Wing, which was 5-star, 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 best ever, I couldn't get into anything else after. This was the first book that got me out of that book hangover. And so it is a contemporary romance. It is a closed door romance. So there's only kissing, but it's super angsty and awesome. It features Evie, who is a woman who works for a service dog company. And she herself has a service dog, Charlie, because Evie is epileptic. And yeah, so Charlie gave her such a sense of independence. She was able to move out of her parents' house and be able to live by herself with epilepsy. So she's super passionate about it and decided to work for the company. And through that, she gets an email from somebody named Jacob, who's looking for information about getting a service dog for his daughter, Sam. So she goes to meet them, and she noticed some like weird things in the emails, misspellings. And then when she gets there, Jacob seems so thrown off. He's like, "Who are you? How do you know my name?" And then she sees the daughter with like a little mischievous look on her face. She wrote the email pretending to be her dad because she is epileptic and she wants a service dog. The dad, I know, the dad is super against it. He doesn't want to. He's a single dad, raising her on his own and trying to not only just be a single dad, a parent, but with an epileptic daughter that he is, navigating all that. Then he decides it's what would make his daughter happy. So they work together to find her a service dog, and they find the match. She's Daisy. And through that, Jacob and Evie form like a friendship, and they work together because it's like a long process to get, the dog learning everything and being able to pick up on the seizure signs. And through that, they fall in love, and it's really sweet. And I couldn't put it down. And I just loved it because it has all my favorite things, like service dogs and people with disabilities getting their happy ever after and getting their love story. And through that, I mean, you see how Sam is able to cope with her new diagnosis and seeing that she can have a full and independent life when she gets older as well. So it was really sweet. I gave it a 5, and there's no spice, so no spice.
I would read it.
It sounds really super
sweet.
cute. It reminds me of Sleepless in Seattle.
I never watched it.
Really?
Yeah, me either.
Oh my god, you gotta watch it. It's so cute.
It's a really cute movie.
But it's kind of like the same concept. It's the boy finds this woman. He's like, I want her to be my mom, and he writes the letter pretending to be the dad. And the dad is like, what? Like,
yeah, it's a really cute movie.
Yeah, so I would totally read that book.
Same.
Yeah, that 100%. I was like tearing up while you were explaining it. I'm not gonna lie. That just sounds so sweet. I love that on top of like her getting her own service dog, that she put her time into training more service dogs so she could help more people. Like that's just amazing. I love that so much. I would 100% read this book.
Yeah, it was super sweet. It's like a better service dog book than the other one we read.
Yes.
that we already mentioned today.
Fuck that book.
We didn't like it, but we keep coming back to it.
Because we're comparing everything that's better to it.
Mm-hmm.
Better service dog story. Better storyline. Yeah.
They have recently announced a new book that they're writing, and it sounds really interesting, so I'm like praying it's better than the last one. I'll read it first and let you guys know. I know Sara will read it too.
Well, I want to read some of the older books because, like, I'll give them a chance. I'm not gonna right away just maybe they just had a bad moment writing that book.
Yeah,
but I'm not gonna write them off yet.
I'll definitely tell you which one to start with. The ones that got me hooked on it. So
yeah,
sounds good.
Let me know when you're ready, and I'll tell you.
Listen, I have a. You can send them. You can send them my way.
All right, everybody, we hope you enjoyed our 4 mini reviews of very different books. Next week, we have something very special in store. We are going to be reviewing A Court of Thorns and Roses, the very popular book talk sensation. But what's special about that is we're going to have a very special guest, Anthony Palmini, who is the voice actor of Rysand, if you want to say it correctly.
Rysand.
In the dramatized version of the audiobook. So we are very, very, very excited to interview him and just talk about ACOTAR. So if you guys have any questions you want us to ask, feel free to let us know in the comments and we would be happy to.
Yeah.
So buckle up, bookworms. We'll see you next week.
Bye. Don't forget to like and subscribe.